grow an existing or manage your personal finances? Your set stops right here. Join Mukonki Mukonkela from Inside Partners Africa every Tuesdays at 0720 hours on the Dalama Insights Business Show, a program that gives you the best and most practical, actionable insights.
Oh, yes, indeed. It's another beautiful morning, and welcome to our dear listeners as we welcome another exciting episode of Dalama Insights as we delve into all things money from saving and investing to budgeting and financial planning. I'm your host today, sitting in for Leslie Sinyangwe. My name is Lina Zulu, and we do have the remarkable Mukonki Mukonkela, who is a renowned financial expert. And yeah, she knows everything money, trust me. Good morning, Mukonki. How are you today?
Good morning, Lena. How are you doing? You're looking
I'm great.
beautiful.
Thank you. You too. I'm just admiring the blazer. That's like my kind of color.
I know, right?
I love color.
I've seen that. I've seen that from you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. All right. So thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It's always a pleasure, Lena, to
Mhm.
talk with you, particularly because I think I get a different spice.
Right. I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
So we're thrilled to have you today as we delve into a topic that I believe will resonate with so many of us,
Yeah.
including those that have joined online. Yeah. So
Yeah.
for money tips, I wish someone told me in my 20s. Trust
Yeah.
me. Let's get right into it. The 20s are like a transformative decade for so many people. What's the first tip you wish someone had told you when you were in your 20s, Mokongi?
Thank you, Lena. So my 20s were quite exciting, I must say. In my 20s, I was graduating from a college, Zikas.
Mhm.
I was starting my first job at Stanbic Bank as a clerk. It was so exciting, and I loved shopping. And
Yeah.
which is why I'm actually having this program, because reflecting back on those earlier years, I realized a lot of financial mistakes that I had made that I wish
Mm.
somebody could have been there to really help direct me in the right way. And so I would love to share my experiences today. So one first thing I wish somebody really told me, and these are things you hear financial institutions talking about: save money, invest money, but it really doesn't sink in until you start, I don't know, going through certain
Yeah.
issues,
It has to come with
challenges.
literal, examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my 20s, I was starting out in my career, and I wish somebody had told me to start saving and investing, and not just when you get paid, cross over Cairo Road to the nearest boutique, buy whatever was the latest in those shops. If somebody had told me, Mkonki, save at least 10% of your salary and invest it in maybe in a government bond. I didn't even know those things existed then, in
Hmm.
a government bond, or buy a piece of land. So one thing I wish somebody had told me, or the very first thing I wish somebody had told me when I was just starting out in my career, was to start saving and investing as early as possible, because that would have allowed me to benefit from compound interest. The little money that I was going to be saving from my salary was very small then, Lena.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
little money I was going to be saving could have grown so much by the time I'm middle age, like
Right.
right now, I would have had a significant savings from my career. So I wish somebody had told me to start saving and investing as early as possible in my 20s.
Ooh, I hope we're taking down notes, man. If you're in your 20s and 30s and you're looking at all this money and you're just going to some place for brides, you need to think twice. So
Yeah.
let's hear more about, compound interest. Just give us an example of what it is.
Thanks, Lena. And I wish this is somebody people could actually be talking about every day on radio, rather than just talking about other issues. Compound interest, guys, is like the Victoria Falls. It's really the eighth wonder of the world. And
I love it when you say that.
you
It's
know,
that good.
you know I love the Victoria Falls, Lena.
Yeah.
Now imagine it being the eighth wonder of the world. What compound interest simply means, Lena, is that if you save a small amount of money, for example, 100 kwacha every month, and you're
Mm.
25 years old, on average, if you're earning 7% interest on that money, let's assume that you've got an account, a savings account that is earning you 7%, which is actually not there. But let's assume it's there. I'll give you some products that can give you this rate very
Hmm.
soon. But assume that you've got an account that is earning you 7% interest, and you're saving 100 kwacha every month, and you're 25 years old. By the time you're 65 years, you would have saved at least 48,000. But the interesting bit is that from 48,000, you would have actually made about 264,000 just from saving 100 kwacha every month. That is compound interest. And what it simply means is that the money that you are saving is growing because of the interest. So you interest on top of interest results in compounding, growing your money significantly. So that is the power of compound interest. And it works well for young people. So in my 20s, somebody really just told me to say, Mukonki, you've got a savings account, brilliant. Don't you ever touch that money. Leave it to grow. I am pretty sure by now I'd be smiling a little bit.
Age is your advantage, young people.
Yes.
So yeah, you run with it. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. That's really eye-opening.
Yeah.
Starting early sure does give you, give a difference.
Yeah.
So let's get to the second tip. What's your, another piece of advice that you find valuable?
So the second tip, Lina, is savings accounts are for saving money. Now, I made a very big mistake, which I've spoken about even on my YouTube channel. In fact, that is what led me to this journey of pursuing financial freedom and understanding financial literacy. You see, in my 20s, I had a savings account. That was the first account that I had opened with a financial institution. And unfortunately, like I've said, you could be hearing all these advertisements talking about savings, but that never really sinks in. Unfortunately, I never used to use the savings account for its intended purpose. So I would go withdraw money and use it for whatever, instead of leaving the money to grow. And then unfortunately also the financial institution changed their rules, turned the savings account. So we used to have a minimum balance. We used to have a minimum balance which you could not touch, Lina. One day I woke up, went to the ATM, and there was like a 750, and I found myself, that's in my 20s, right?
Yeah.
I've got a lot of money in the account. I'm like, wow, where did this money come from? I was so excited. I didn't even question myself. I just withdrew the money. A few years later, it took me years. When I was looking at my bank statement, I realized huge bank charges. So I went back to the branch manager and, to find out, why am I being charged all these big bank charges? I know the monthly management fee is supposed to be this amount, but what is this? Then they told me, no, you see, a few months ago, we realized that our clients may need this money. So we removed the restriction. You could now access your minimum balance. But do you know what was interesting? The minimum balance, they were charging us for withdrawing it. You see, and unaware, I spent all these years really excited about the ability for me to draw the minimum balance in my 20s. Can you imagine how naive I was?
You were chewing your own money.
Chewing my own money and paying for chewing it.
Yes.
So one tip that I want to send out today to the masses that are listening is that savings accounts should be used for savings. Don't use them as a current account. And somebody told me to say, open another account. It's a current account. You can use your current account for whatever you want. You won't be charged. I think I would have avoided huge money that I spent paying the bank because I was withdrawing the minimum balance, which was my money, but they were actually charging me for it, saying that we're trying to help you. So look, savings accounts are for saving money. Don't use them like a current account. Leave the money in your savings account intact. And if a financial institution tells you we want to help you withdraw the minimum balance, not that they're going to be charging you for withdrawing your money. So that's the second tip, Lina.
I like that. And I wish some people there would actually see your face. Like, you're so serious. Like, she's so serious. She thinks of all that money that she was withdrawing and being charged for it.
Then that is why I now talk about personal finance, Lina. It is because of that bank statement. It really, after one day I woke up, I've got a company. So one day I woke up, I was wondering why I'm unable to pay staff salaries and rental fees. So I started looking at this savings bank account that I had. And I'm asking myself, this is supposed to be saving me money and earning me interest, but there's nothing in this account. That got me thinking, Lina, to say, what products are going to give me interest? And this is why we are here today.
Yeah, I'm really interested. And this thing of changing the book balance and the current. Just briefly explain the difference between a current account and a savings one.
I think that's a good question, Lina. So a savings account is supposed to be an account where you save money and it grows, and the bank is supposed to give you an interest on top of the money you're saving. So you're supposed to earn an interest. In Zambia, I did research. Because of this journey, I had to call all the financial institutions and ask them. But I called my personal bank at that time and asked them, what interest am I earning on this account? Surprisingly, Lina, it was a mere 0.1%.
You see?
Interest. But anyway, the function of the savings account is supposed to save you money and grow it. If you're able to find a good bank that can give you 7%, well done to you. There's no bank in Zambia that gives you that rate on savings account. Pay ups, deposits, fixed deposits, maybe. And then the current account is an account that you can use for your day-to-day operating expenses, your household expenses. The charges on the current account are not as much compared to the savings account, because the function is for you to use it regularly. Yes, so even when you withdraw maybe 3 times, you will not be charged as much as on the savings account, because the savings accounts, they are charging you because they're like penalizing you. You're supposed to be saving money. Why are you withdrawing it now? So we are going to charge you, and they end up making huge profits by charging you, by the way.
See your life.
Yeah.
Now you know.
now I know.
Very, very practical and actionable tips, Mukonki. Let's move on to the third piece of advice for our
Yes.
listeners.
So the third one, Lina, again, this is something that I realized later on after I'd moved. So when you are switching careers, I used to work for KCM, Konkola Copper Mines, and it used to maintain what is called a Saturnia Regina account. It's a pension account. So in my 20s, really excited, I've got Saturnia Regina. I didn't even know what it was. When I was leaving KCM, somebody in human resource told me, you can withdraw your Saturnia Regina. I said, do what with it? Do whatever you want. I said, fine. Fine. They gave me the form. I completed it. I got my money. You know what you do with money. Just to chew it. You know what? It is years later that I realized I should not. If I'd withdrawn that Saturnia Regina, I should have reinvested it in another product, or I should have moved it to my employers. So if my employers maintain another pension fund, I should have taken that money to that pension fund so that it continues growing, because pension is for retirement. You might think that you are young. Before you know it, you'll be old and you'll be needing that money. Had I been told, even just by the human resource, and this is another word to the human resource experts that sometimes act as advisors and mentors to employees. This is something you can encourage your employees to say, this pension, don't withdraw it. It is supposed to be for your retirement. If you're going to withdraw it, invest it in something. Don't withdraw it and go and spend it. So again, that's another mistake I made in my 20s. I chewed the money I drew.
It was party
and now I look back, I say, oh my goodness, that was a lot of money.
What was I doing?
I could have bought a plot. Right
now, the young one.
Right now, I would have.
You know that thing that they say, what's the one thing you say to yourself before making a bad decision? You only live once.
You only live once. Yeah. You live all up to 90 years, you'll be shocked.
And then you have nothing to your name. We are learning today what are those mistakes that you made in your 20s that could have turned out different if someone had given you great piece of advice like what Mukonki is doing with us today. So what's the fourth piece of advice that you wish someone told you earlier?
The fourth piece of advice really is to invest in myself, Lina. And what I mean by that is, if somebody had told me to read, again, I've had key milestones in my life, and don't worry, I'm writing a book, Lina. One day you hear about it. Do you know, when the book that opened my eyes to financial management and all of this was a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now,
I've heard of that book,
once you read that book, there's no turning back. Once you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, there's no turning back. So if somebody had even introduced me to reading such kinds of books so that I can invest in myself and learn about what it means to buy an asset and not a liability, because many people think if you buy a vehicle, but I'm investing in a vehicle, it's an asset. It's not an asset, especially nowadays with all these increased fuel. If you are spending money on maintaining the vehicle, buying, if it's a huge, big engine capacity, the fuel expense, the vehicle is a liability. An asset is what gives you money. A liability is what draws money from you. So many people think that because they've got all these fancy things and they've got assets, in fact, they're buying liabilities and they are draining themselves. So if you're able to distinguish between an asset and a liability, you will move forward quickly. So invest in yourself, learn, educate yourself. The Ndalama Insights radio program is the best platform for you, because this is personal experience. I've already gone through it. I've already, validated whatever I talk about. It is concepts that actually work. And by the way, let me say thank you so much for those that attended the Learn About Stocks and Bonds workshop. Lina, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. The good thing is it was
everyone that came through.
I know it. The good thing is it was online, and so we didn't really have to find a venue and all of that. People were learning on their laptops, and it is something that can be scaled, and we can reach a wider audience throughout Zambia in future. So thank you for all those that really attended this workshop. We are on a journey to learn about finances. You don't need to be a millionaire. This is not about getting wealthy. This is about living a comfortable life without depending on anybody else. So I wish. So you need to invest in yourself. Yes,
you
Lina.
must invest in yourself. If you go into a store and you can't get it on cash, leave it alone.
Leave it alone. And that's another thing. Debt. For me, I think I was fortunate. I don't like debt. I don't like somebody calling me, bugging me about you owe me money this. So
You
that
don't
is
sleep over debt.
so that is something I avoid. But for those who are accustomed to getting debt, another financial tip in your 20s is avoid debt, because it is going to prevent you from
Yeah.
attaining financial freedom. That's maybe an additional tip that I can give. Yes.
Fantastic. So sometimes people overlook, like investing in oneself. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Just share something that has worked in your life.
Just look at what I talk about now, Lina. It's because I've invested in myself. I've had to learn how to manage my personal finances. So when you invest in yourself, you become good with your money. And many people make a mistake to say, I'll find a professional who's going to help me. I'll give them money. They'll invest it for me. Don't make that mistake. At least learn the basics. So even when you're asking advice from professionals, you will know when they're making mistakes, because they're also human beings. So invest in yourself, educate yourself. Now we've got a lot of resources. Even on my YouTube channel, by the way, subscribe to Mukonki Mukonkela this morning. It's got a lot of useful information that is not tailor-made to the USA, but Zambia.
True.
We've got a lot of
It's
financial
customized for us.
what
Yeah.
we are experiencing. So you are not going to be learning about avalanche, debt, whatever method that are applicable to America. This is Zambia. We've got, first of all, majority of us Zambians don't even have access to debt, by the way. So if you hear financial advisor talking about debt management, a lot of many people don't even have access to that money, because it's, first of all, it's expensive. You can't borrow. Even if you had to borrow, I mean, it's like so invest in yourself means educate yourself, learn for yourself. And even if you had to consult somebody, at least you have an idea. You still, Mukonki is making a mistake here. Is she really right? Because we are all human beings.
You've read widely, you've
Yes.
consulted.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can even
And
ask
you can't be misled.
You can't be misled. Linda, last time
Right.
you were talking about somebody saying they can invest money for you.
Okay.
If you've read these things, you know how a CSD account operates.
Yeah.
There's no one who's going to say, give me money, I invest for you. You will know, because you've already known how a CSD account operates. So that is what it is. Invest in yourself. It's really, really important. Information is shared through platforms like this for you to just expand your knowledge and save it and invest in yourself, really. So good morning, everybody online. Maureen, Anna, Katongo, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Senior Superintendent John Squembewe is actually in Choma. He's written me a message, but it's in my language.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead. We understand all 72 languages. We do. If we don't, we are going to start learning.
On how to save ndalama. Vuto tyala tikasungako tundalama mu banki chimtunta chuwera mpera basi zonse tafumya koma apitirija Mukonki kutiunikira, keep shedding light and keep telling us about this.
Lina,
Papa to retire sale, so you see he's almost retiring very soon. So he needs these tips. Chimtunda chimabwera kapaka che 500 kwacha mwete omani. You want to draw it and get T-bone.
Chimtunta, especially for me, I've had to navigate through that chimtunta. It applies to so many of us. I mean, for me, I think it's because of years of learning that I've had to start disciplining myself.
Yeah.
Because truly, when you see money, the first thing you want to is spend it. That is why you always need to create some financial goals, especially when you don't have the money. Dream, create the goals, because when you have the money, it will be easy for you to say, I remember that goal I'd created. This is why I need to take the money. Rather than when you have the money, that's when you start planning for the goals. You may just misuse it.
You may just chew it up.
Yes.
All right. So what's our takeaway today? I wish we could go on, like even up to 8 o'clock, man.
I wish so. Maybe next time.
Issues of money, these are very, very important to discuss, because money makes the world go round, and it's very true.
Yeah, and for those that think money is not important, people say try to live without it.
We know where you're gonna go. We need it every day.
My final tip, Lina, is for young people, and today's program was really for young people. This is the right time for you to start investing money. Start with 1,000 kwacha that your mom gives you or your dad gives you from your piggy bank. Tell mommy and daddy to open a CSD account under their name and start saving the bonds for you, buying bonds for you. By the time you're getting to my age, you are going to have a lot of money, young ones. So it's the best time. Also, shares, your mommy or daddy can buy a share for you. Our friends in Southern Province, I always say, I've got a good habit of buying a cow. When a child is born, they buy a cow. That's an investment also, guys. So we can buy similar shares, bonds for our children as investments that they can then later on grow and enjoy.
Fantastic. Mrs. Juliana Mwila, CEO and founder of Families and Nations, saying, good morning, Mukonki. That is a beautiful program. She says, we need you for Zambia's development.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So I'll link the two of you together. She's a fantastic person, and I think you will work it out.
Yeah, no, we
You will
definitely
work it
will.
out.
We
Yeah, the
will.
family unit needs a lot of financial information, a lot of financial literacy.
Thank you so much, Lena.
Absolutely. All
Thanks.
right, so that's our show for today. I had Mukonki Mukonkela, who is our financial expert from Inside Partners Africa. Now you know her story. And this is big. I think that's just like a tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
But we'll be looking forward to that book that you're writing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I hope the young people out there also tuned in and benefited from today's show.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. All right, so that's been my guest for today. Until next week at the same time, this is 4FM's Breakfast Show. We continue on the other side, but this is where we wrap it up for today's edition of the Ndalama Insights radio program.
You have been listening to Dalama